Hello chums, and welcome to episode 2 of the mid-2000s Supercar Shootout, where I gather the most swoon-worthy motor vehicles from 20 years ago and subject them to a series of challenges. In the first episode, which I highly recommend watching if you haven't already, I introduced the 14 contenders with some statistics and some jaunty camera angles. They were then tested for their top speeds and for their fuel economy. As a recap, the top speed test was mostly predictable, with the TVR Tuscan, Alfa Romeo 8C and Audi R8 at the bottom of the standings, while the Chevrolet Corvette, Ferrari Enzo and Bugatti Veyron consisted the top three. The biggest surprise was the Lamborghini Gallardo being gear limited and scoring no points, and the Ford GT beating a few much more powerful cars. The fuel economy test was rather more unexpected, with the 8-litre Dodge Viper coming third, and the Gallardo yet again scoring no points. Once again, the Corvette and to a larger extent the Ford GT overachieved, so currently the American cars are performing above expectations. Today I'm subjecting the supercars to 2 more tests. At the end of the last video, I said I was going to do a track test, but because I have the attention span of a housefly, I have changed my mind. So the next test is for standing start acceleration. I will measure the 0 to 60 mph time, the 0 to 100 mph time, and the 400 meter sprint time. I will then add all 3 times together and award points based on the result. This standing start test is very useful knowledge for those of us who crash often, because we now know which cars can get going again the fastest. I have launched every car multiple times to find the fastest combination, so some cars will have traction control, some won't, and some will be launching in second or even third gear. In last place we have the Alfa Romeo 8C Competizione, which got to 60 in exactly 4 seconds, 100 in 9.15 seconds, and the 400 meter sprint in 12.2 seconds. Its total was 25.367. Narrowly beating it, the TVR Tuscan was a tenth slower to 60, but reeled it back in, being half a second faster to 100, where the TVR began to lose time again, but still ended up a tenth faster in the quarter mile. The total was 24.868. In 12th place is the Dodge Viper. It gets to 60 in under 4 seconds, gets to 100 in just under 8 seconds, and passes the 400 meter marker in just under 12 seconds. The total is 23.601. The first big shock is 11th place, going to the 600 horsepower Mercedes-Benz SLR. It performs more or less just like the Viper, except a few tenths faster, for a fairly underwhelming total of 22.918. Beating it, surprisingly, is the Porsche 997 GT3, with 200 horsepower less. Superior traction off the line gives it the momentum needed to beat the big Mercedes with a total of 22.749. In 9th place, the Audi R8 uses its Quattro system to big advantage. 0 to 60 in 3 seconds is very impressive, and its low drag enables it to reach the quarter mile in 11.4 seconds, for a total of 22.383. Only just scoring points in 8th place we have the Chevrolet Corvette, whose impressive power was not enough to rank it higher, though it is the fastest front-engined car here with a total of 21.767. Narrowly beating it, the Ferrari 430 has better weight balance and gets off the line much faster, and it completes the quarter mile in almost exactly the same time. The total, though, is 21.518. In 6th, we once again have the overachieving Ford GT, which is slightly slower than the Ferrari to 60, but it's faster for the rest of the run, completing the 400 meters in just over 11 seconds, for a total of 21.351. Starting off the top 5 is the Porsche Carrera GT, which performs slightly better than the Ford in every single way, including sound. The total is 20.534. In 4th place we have the Ferrari Enzo, which is the fastest rear-wheel drive car in this test. Believe it or not, it's slower to 60 than the lesser Ferrari F430, but the total is 20.099. Finally, the Gallardo scores some points. 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds, 0 to 100 in under 6 seconds, and 400 meters in 10.5 seconds. A total of 19.015 places it third overall. The Gallardo's big V12 sibling beats it by a few tenths across the board for a total of 18.599, giving it a commanding lead over almost everything here. But let's face it, it did not stand much of a chance against the big bug. The Veyron effortlessly wiped the board clean with a 400 meter sprint in under 10 seconds and a total of 16.032. Let's see how that affects the standings. So the Veyron is now way out in front with 30 points thanks to 2 outright wins. The Enzo gets 6 points to go with the 10 points it had from the top speed test. The Ford GT, TVR Tuscan and Big Lambo are joint third on 15 points, while the 997 GT3 is sitting at 11. The Corvette is close at 10 points. The Lamborghini Gallardo is no longer in last place, finally landing some points, while the Audi R8 and Mercedes-Benz SLR are trailing in joint last. So far, the Chevrolet Corvette and Ford GT are the only cars which have scored points in all 3 tests. Next up, the Mercedes-Benz might have a chance to redeem itself because we have a braking test. Each car will be driven at 150 miles per hour, or as close as I can get, and once I pass the 1000 meter marker at Special Stage Route X, I will stamp on the brakes with ABS set to weak. Now, there's not much we can do to measure the exact distance, so all I can realistically do is compare the frames of where each car comes to a stop. The Tuscan, surprisingly despite its weight, comes last, coming to a rest a fair way past the 1200 meter marker. The Audi R8 beats it by roughly half a car length. The Ford GT gets its first result outside of the points, stopping just before the 1200 meter marker. The Alfa Romeo 8C is next, coming to a stop no more than a couple of feet ahead of the Ford. Next up is a tie between the Dodge Viper SRT10 and the Porsche 997 GT3, which isn't exactly a tie I was expecting. The Corvette only just scrapes a point finish once again in 8th place for the 3rd time in a row. In 7th is the Porsche Carrera GT, stopping just before the Chevy. 6th place goes to the Bugatti Veyron despite its rather excessive weight. The Lamborghini Murcielago gets a top 5 finish, despite also being rather fat. The Ferrari 430 Scuderia beats the Big Lambo by a whisker. The Lamborghini Gallardo is finally starting to redeem itself with another top 3 finish. Improving by half a car length, we have the Ferrari Enzo, the lightest car here. However, it's only gone and been beaten by the 2nd heaviest car here. The Mercedes-Benz SLR McLaren's active wing must be working overtime because the big GT car has just pulled a win out of its arse. Back to the scoreboard. Another points finish pushes the overpowered Volkswagen further into the lead, while the Enzo finds itself in 2nd. The Murcielago isn't far behind, and the SLR McLaren has finally dragged itself into contention just behind that. A 2nd good result in a row for the Gallardo places it just above the overachieving Ford GT and the fuel-sipping TVR Tuscan. Perhaps most interesting though is the Corvette, which is now the only car to score points in every single round, though it's worth mentioning it scored 1 point each in the last 3 rounds in a row. So, that was episode 2 of the mid-2000s Supercar Shootout. Join me next time where I actually will test the cars around a track, rating them on their lap time as well as their subjective handling differences. Is there a test you want to see carried out? Let me know in the comments down below. Did you enjoy this video? Then please do like, subscribe and smack my bell so that you get notified of my future uploads. Take care of yourself, and ta-ra.